Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are when you see this video. Thank you for joining me, Dorothea, through an Orthodox Christian lens. It is October 20, 2025. I have a couple of interesting prophecy things to share with you. One that the Holy Wisdom channel put out just a while ago, a couple days ago at the most, regarding the Balkans area. And then I have some prophecies from a Serbian peasant in the same areas, obviously for Serbia and all that, but also from different wars, and also even from upcoming World War III, that I thought was kind of interesting. So I'm going to share both of those things with you now. I'm going to try to read off of this thing for the Holy Wisdom channel's one here. It says, it began, this is from Elder Ananias Kustinis. It began in 1992. It began. Byzantium fell because of the sins of the Byzantines. They stopped loving Christ and loving their fellow man. There it is, the two commandments of the New Testament. You shall love the Lord your God and your neighbor as yourself. They turned to money, discord, indulgence. They were humbled, even sought help from the Pope. Ferrara, Florence, received shame from there too, and in the end, it was God's will for the city to become Turkish. The fall was inevitable. We received our penance. The Jews received theirs for 70 years in Babylonian captivity. But we, as the new Israel of grace, will be chastised 70 times 7, because they knew little, and he who knows little is chastised little. He who knows much will be beaten much. So Christ gave us a penance, 77 times 7. Multiply it, it comes to 539. Father Paisios says this, St. Paisios, I'm not saying anything of my own. And if you add 539 years to 1453, do you know what you get? 1992.
1992. The war. What Father Paisios says.
I'll just let him talk.
In order to reclaim the city of our dreams, in every sense, the matter will begin in the Balkans. The Europeans will try to support the Muslims of the Balkans, but
the matter will begin in the Balkans. Didn't he just say that? Okay.
Bosnia, Herzegovina, Kosovo, and others. And now the Papists, Latin Christians and Protestant Christians, Americans, British, Germans, etc., all support the Turks. Why? It's the same taste. And the Roman Catholics and Protestants are even worse than the Turks. That's why God preferred, according to Father Cosmas and undeniable history, to give the penance to the Greeks through the Turks. Through the Turks. That's why, in the years just before the fall of Constantinople, they used to say, better to see a Turkish turban in the city than the tiara, the official crown of the Pope. No. And Father Cosmas says, fortunately, God cast us to the Turks.
Wow.
He cast us. He brought those poor souls from over there and placed them here. Not that they're blameless. They will pay too, because God is not unjust. And he did not cast us to the Pope, because the Turks want silver. Silver means money, the coins that are white in color. Give the Turk silver and take his soul. Father Cosmas. And what about the others? They take our money and our souls. Our faith. Our faith. So the evil will begin from Bosnia-Herzegovina. Father Cosmas said it too. It has begun. It has begun. The Franks, the Pope, and the Jews took from Serbia. Let's not forget the Jews, because they crucified Christ. The Jews and the Pope. Pontius Pilate, Annas, and Caiaphas. They took Kosovo. What is Kosovo? The Holy of Holies of the Serbs. Let's not forget the famed Battle of Kosovo in 1387. All the Byzantine monuments. Byzantine monuments. The Serbs are ours. The Serbs are ours. Let's not fool ourselves, and they gave it to the Muslims, the Albanians, and they're doing everything. Well then, it will begin from there. The Turks will give the Russians a pretext, and I fear it will be the 6 nautical miles and the oil of the Aegean. Then Russia will strike Turkey directly, entirely. Within a week, it will be over. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, he's saying it's a week. So, because, I couldn't recall what time period it was supposed to be, the fight between Russia and Turkey. I think maybe St. Paisios had mentioned that. I can't remember, but okay.
In 1 week, Turkey will be finished. Because they caused so much destruction, so many rivers of blood were shed by the Turks upon Christians, especially Orthodox Greeks. Let's not forget anything. We must forgive, but not forget. They will pay for everything. Saint Andrew the Fool for Christ speaks of the war to come, the destruction of Islam by the Russians, and then the protectors of Islam, the West, will intervene. NATO, Americans, the Pope, Europe, and whoever else. And they will strike the Russians. That is where the Great War will take place, as Father Cosmas says. And so much blood will be shed that a 3-year-old calf could float in it. And all the lawlessness. Because the greatest enemies of Byzantium, as I've told you, are Islam, and even more so the Papists. Such hatred. And always.
Wow. Well, each country has its own difficulties and wars and battles, and they definitely had some issues with those mentioned in that video. Okay, so he's saying it's that World War III is beginning in the Balkans. Well, we know that's part of it, for sure. I'm going to now share just a few of the prophecies of this little Serbian peasant. He's called Mitar Tarabich. And I'm just going to read who he is and what he's about, and then I'll get to a few of the pieces in here that he says on the world wars and certain things. 19th century Serbian peasant Mitar Tarabich made some uncannily accurate predictions for the 19th and 20th centuries, so only time will judge how his prophecies play out for the 21st century. Mitar Tarabich, 1829 to 1899, an illiterate peasant from the small Serbian village of Kremna, experienced occasional prophetic visions. Being a religious person and having a local Serbian Orthodox priest for a godfather, he told this priest about his episodes of seeing into the future. The priest, Zachariah Saharic, 1836 to 1918, wrote down everything in a small notebook, which was damaged by fire in 1943 when his family home was destroyed by the occupying Bulgarian army. This text is now in the possession of the family of Zachariah's great-grandson, Mr. Dejan Milenkovic. Tarabich's prophecies were literally very straightforward. Tarabich's best-known prophecy had to do with a series of political events in the 19th century Serbia. He predicted a sequence of events spanning a course of decades that eventually led to the removal of the ruling Obrenović family from the Serbian royal throne. This prophecy came to be known in the Balkan region as the Black Prophecy, and it played out as predicted. You should note that Tarabich's words are translated from Serbo-Croatian, and that the translation is not necessarily in its final form. You may notice that some of the phrasing in the quotes is awkward and rough. This is an accurate reflection of his rural accent. Tarabich's words come from conversations with his godfather Zachariah, or Zachariach. So you should be aware that any references to you or your descendants relate to Zachariah the priest specifically. When Tarabich says us, he means the Serbs, but he does not distinguish between Croats, Serbs, Slovenians, etc. To him, anyone who spoke his language was a Serb. So I'm going to read a few of them for you, just a few I picked out. He said, soon after this war, another war will start, the big war in which a lot of blood will be spilled. If that blood were a river, a huge stone of 300 kilograms would roll in its current easily. A mighty army from across a river 3 times bigger than ours will attack us. They will destroy everything on their way. They penetrate deep into our land. Hard times will come upon us. Our army will almost give up. But then suddenly an intelligent man on a black stallion will take command and cry out, "Forward to victory, my people! Forward, brothers Serbs!" Our army springs to life. Its fighting spirit wakes up, and the enemy is chased away across the river. So this is what they understand that to mean. 1914, the Austro-Hungarian Empire started a war against Serbia after a Serb nationalist, Gavrilo Princip, assassinated the heir to the Austrian throne, Archduke Francis Ferdinand, and his wife in Sarajevo. This regional war soon developed into World War I, with 32 nations involved. In the beginning, Austria conquered the northern and central parts of Serbia easily, but when General Alexander Misic, the man on a black stallion, took command, the Serbian armies were able to repel the Austrian invaders back across the river Drina until October 1915. Then we'll go into a little bit on predictions of World War II. He's talking about another big war, and that's World War II he's talking about. And he says here, in the beginning, Russia will not wage war, but when attacked by the evil army, they will fight back. There is a red Tsar on the Russian throne. This means when Nazi Germany started World War II, the USSR Russia remained neutral. On 22nd June 1941, more than 3 million German troops invaded the USSR. Under Communist Party leader Joseph Stalin, the USSR fought back. So that's what that means. And as you can see, he was on the right track. Then we have after the Great War, peace will reign all over the world. Many new states will appear, black, white, red, and yellow. An international court is formed, which does not allow countries to fight each other. This court will be above all kings. Where a war starts, the court will judge justly, trying to transform hatred and butchery into love and peace. Remember, he lived in the last part of the 1800s. He wasn't even alive in the 1900s. The lucky ones who live to see these times will be more than happy. So in December 1945, the United Nations was established. Articles 33 through 38 of the Charter authorized the Security Council to encourage disputing nations to settle their differences through peaceful means, including negotiations, inquiry, mediation, conciliation, arbitration, and judicial settlement. From 1946 to 1970, dozens of countries from Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and South America achieved independence. That's what he's meaning by peace and some happiness for these countries. Okay? Let me see. We have the next one. After a while, some great kings, as well as some small ones, will start to fake their respect for the court while doing whatever they please. Many small wars will begin because of this. Thousands upon thousands will die, but there will be no big wars. So here he's talking about the Korean War, Vietnam War, Afghanistan War, Nicaragua, and the Iran-Contra scandal, etc. Those type of smaller wars. Okay, then we have one on the Middle East. Let's see. Let's see. So in our country, the time of peace and prosperity will last for a long time. Many a generation will be born to live and die in peace, knowing about war only through wise books, words, and different strange apparitions. In 1965 and 1966, economic reforms in Yugoslavia produced what has been called an economic revolution. Total industrial production in 1957 increased by 70% over that of 1953, and by 1966 it was more than double the 1957 figure. By 67, prices had been stabilized, savings were increasing steadily, and labor productivity had risen by about 7%. TV and radio enjoyed a great boom in the 1950s and 1960s. Okay. He says, our kingdom will be strong and well loved and respected by everybody. People will eat only white bread and whole wheat just when they want to. Everybody will ride around in carts with no oxen. People will travel in the sky, looking down upon our land as if they had climbed on the double Tara mountain. There was economic prosperity coupled with the introduction of the car, bus, van, and air transportation. Yugoslavia started its own airline company. That's what they're saying happened there. And then there's this one that's really cute. Men will build a box, and within will be some kind of gadget with images, but they will not be able to communicate with me already dead, even though this image gadget will be as close to this other world as hairs on the human scalp as are close to each other. With the help of this image gadget, man will be able to see everything that is happening all over the world. So they're saying he prophesies the invention of television and the computer, influence of the internet, etc. All right. Okay. Let me go down here. Okay, this part I thought was interesting. He said this is after all the world wars so far, after the 2 world wars and later on. He says saying this is later on. The whole world will be plagued by a strange disease, and nobody will be able to find a cure. Everybody will say, I know, because I'm learned and smart, but nobody will know anything. People will think and think, but they will not be able to find the right cure, which will be with God's help all around them and in themselves. That possibly could be the C-19 illness. But what do you think? Okay, I like this. The more people will know, the less they will love and care for each other. Hatred will be so great between them that they will care more for their different gadgets than for their relatives. Man will trust his gadget more than his first neighbor. Wow. So I'll read this 2 paragraphs here because it continues into his predictions for World War III. Among people of a nation far in the north, a little man will appear who will teach men about love and compassion, but there will be many hypocrites around him, so that he will have many ups and downs. Not one of these hypocrites will want to know what is real human grace, but his wise books will remain and all the words he will say, and then people will see how self-deceived they were. Those who will read and write different books with numbers will think they know the most. These learned men will let their lives be led by their calculations, and they will do and live exactly how these numbers tell them. Among these learned men, there will be good and evil men. The evil ones will do evil deeds. They will poison air and water and spread pestilence over the seas, rivers, and earth, and people will start to die suddenly of various ailments. Those good and wise will see that all this effort and hard work is not worth a penny, and that it leads to the destruction of the world, and instead of looking for wisdom in numbers, they will start to seek it in meditation. So here is what a World War III prediction, although none of this is translated or interpreted, so we just have to go by our own thoughts here. When they start to meditate more, they will be closer to God's wisdom, but it will be too late because the evil ones will already ravage the whole earth and men will start to die in great numbers. Then people will run away from cities to the country and look for the mountains with 3 crosses, and there inside they will be able to breathe and drink water. Those who will escape will save themselves and their families, but not for long, because a great famine will appear. There will be plenty of food in towns and villages, but it will be poisoned. Many will eat because of hunger and die immediately. Those who will fast to the end will survive, because the Holy Ghost will save them, and they will be close to God. The greatest and the angriest will strike against the mightiest and the most furious. When this horrible war starts, woe to those armies that fly over skies. Better off will be those who fight on ground and water. People waging this war will have their scientists who will invent different and strange cannonballs. You can tell how old he is. When they explode, these cannonballs, instead of killing, will cast a spell over all that lives. People, armies, and livestock. This spell will make them sleep, and sleep they will instead of fighting. And after this, they will come back to their senses. That's possibly nuclear weapons. As Elder Joseph had points out that the angel will come and stop the fighting, and people will snap out of all the crazy chaos and insanity that they were doing and murdering everybody, killing everybody, and then they would go back to their homes saying, "Why are we here?" That's what that sounds like to me. But anyway, that's what I have for you. I just thought it was kind of interesting, so I wanted to share it with you. So, whatever you think on that. Share your thoughts and comments. I'd like your opinions on that bit that wasn't interpreted. And so, thanks so much for watching, for following my channel, and until next time.